I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus, I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus, I was evil.
Okay.
Is that Jumper drinking?
Yeah.
Stay hydrated, buddy.
Jumper, say hi. No,
All
he's
right.
coming over here. Okay.
What episode is this? 17?
17. Yeah.
All right. We're back on episode 17 of the Druckless Drewscast.
Yeah.
I'm Ben Jesse Smollett's Dom D'Alessio.
And I'm Joe Space Garza.
Joe Space Garza.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. So you kind of put this episode together. Thank you. I appreciate that. What are we going to dive into today?
So I want to touch on the debate about superheroes as like cinema or as art film. And this has been going on for a few years. Like it seems like every 4 or 5 months, a prominent, filmmaker or director or actor comes out and it's like, Marvel movies are dumb. And then all the nerds freak out. And so this past week, I believe it was Paul Thomas Anderson in an interview with the New Yorker. He kind of reignited that fire. But he's not as critical of like, superhero movies and Marvel movies. But anyway, I thought it'd be kind of like a fun thing to talk about, just sort of like, art cinema versus Marvel movie cinema and stuff like that. But there are some funny quotes in here. Like they're like some of the directors have some silly gripes about Marvel.
Want to read? Let's start because I think it's actually like a really multifaceted conversation. The more I thought about it, the more layers there are to it.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with Paul Thomas Anderson's quote because I guess the most recent kind of big name?
Yeah.
You can read it.
So this is in the New Yorker recently. And so the person asked, the question was asked, you aren't making Marvel films. You're not making the Fast and the Furious franchise films. On the other hand, you aren't making tiny budget indie movies either. You're making films for adults on a mid-sized budget. Is Hollywood treating you well? How are you looking at the landscape of the business these days? And he responded by saying, boy, it warms my heart to be able to tell you that I feel happier than ever working in this business. I've got my own little corner of the sandbox and I'm working with people that I really admire, like at MGM. I'm incredibly happy right now, but that's me. There's no end to this kind of skies falling questions that always surround films and what's going to happen. Obviously, it's gotten even more complicated with streaming and the sort of overabundance of superhero movies. Most of the stuff I don't take too seriously. I mean, it seems that there is a bit of preoccupation with superhero films. I like them. It seems to be something that's popular these days to sort of wonder if they've ruined movies and all this kind of stuff. I just don't feel that way. I mean, look, we're all nervous about people getting back to the theaters, but what's going to get them back in the movie theaters? Spider-Man. So let's be happy about that.
Yeah, so I want to start with that last comment because that's what ignited like a thought that I usually have. I was actually just having this conversation. I have it, a good amount because I love books and I love reading, and I'm also a writer and I write books and I like writing.
Yeah.
And I used to be kind of more on the more snobby side, like in the mid 2010s when all of us, progressives, and that's how I identified back then, we're like real into BuzzFeed and stuff, and everything was like lists and all that crap.
Yeah.
And I would go to the BuzzFeed books, and like every fucking list was like Harry Potter. I'm like, guys, there are other books out there besides Harry Potter, or maybe there'd be like a Hunger Games or a Twilight. They did have a lot of Game of Thrones, which is my favorite series. It's one of the only series I actually read, which I love, the Song of Ice and Fire. But I've kind of turned new leaf in the past few years on many different things. But on one, it's like, you know what? I just like people reading.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's Twilight. I don't care if it's Harry Potter. I don't care if it's 50 Shades of Grey. I just like people buying books and borrowing books from libraries and talking about books and blogging about books because, well, one, they're going to run out of those books and they got the joy of reading and they're going to go find something else. And then maybe they'll buy one of my books. Who knows? Like, right. So I love that. So I the equivalent there is him saying, well, what's going to get people back in the theaters is Spider-Man, right? So it's like that brings them back to that love of going to the theater, which a lot of people do have, whether it's a nostalgic feeling or just like I love my local theater because it's one of those big ones with the comfy chairs, the recliners, and it's really, to be honest, it's just kind of loud, so it drowns out any annoying. Like I saw both Aladdin and Lion King, which have a lot of kids, in the theater, and they were like jumping around, but you don't hear them, and it's nice. And then I went to another theater a couple of years ago, like nearby, not my local one, but nearby, and it's just like an old school regular theater, and it like there's like no one in the theater. There's like a handful of people in the theater. I think I'm seeing It 2, the second It.
Yeah.
There's like a handful of teenagers in the top row just being fucking annoying. Like made a shitty experience. Yeah. But anyway, so bringing people, like getting people back in the theater through if the channel to do that is Spider-Man or just whatever the DC or MCU or whatever it is. That's great, because then they might say, hey, I enjoyed that in the theater. Let's go see the next Paul Thomas Anderson movie, or Wes Anderson or Ridley Scott or Iñárritu or any of these other guys we're going to talk about. So that's where I wanted to start, because it's like, well, also it's a business, right? So they need people to rent movies and see movies in theaters and click on them on their streaming services. And that it all, like, it's all for the good of movie making and movie going, and it all kind of like comes back, right? Because most people, I don't think, like, they don't just stick to one type of movie, right? Like they like watching movies, and eventually they'll put on that director's movie.
Right, exactly. And I can't help but wonder, because especially with Marvel movies, because so many of the heroes are big stars. Say for example, Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man really brought his career back from the dead, basically. And when he was doing, but he did a bunch of other movies since then that are not Marvel movies. And so it's like, okay, like when he does a smaller drama or like a more adult oriented film, he's going to be bringing some of the Iron Man audience with him. Like people are going to be, I love Iron Man. I love Robert Downey Jr. I'm going to go check out that small courtroom drama that he did. So,
I don't think that's a very good movie, though.
Oh, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I didn't see it. The Judge?
Yeah.
Your Honor? No, that was The Show. Also not very good.
Yeah, I think it was The Judge,
The Judge,
But yeah. I mean, it's so when Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man, when he goes and does a smaller film, like he'll bring some of his audience, some of his fans with him too.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I mean, I love movies. I write about movies. I've talked about this several times in the pod, and sometimes I do just see a movie because I like that actor.
Yes.
Sometimes I see it because I like the plot or the setting, or I'm partial to movies that take place in certain countries or on certain topics or in historical events. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I love Adam Driver. I'm just going to see whatever Adam Driver's in. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll watch
same thing with filmmakers.
With Adam Driver. Yeah.
Same with filmmakers. If people love Ryan Coogler's work on Black Panther, they're going to go check out Creed. They're going to go check out Fruitvale Station.
And bringing it back to books also, I've mentioned this before. It's like, you really know you've made it as an author, and very few authors get to this point where it's like your name appears bigger than the title on the book. Stephen King, we'll bring him up again. He comes to mind. Like, people just buy the next Stephen King book. They just buy the next Danielle Steele book, the Isabel Allende, the John Grisham. Like, they don't even care. It's like, oh, John Grisham has the new book, I'm buying his book. And it's the same thing with direct. Like, I'm going to see any Tarantino movie. I'm just going to see a Tarantino movie. I'm going to see a Ridley Scott movie. I'm going to see a Wes Anderson movie, because and then they've earned that. So again, it's kind of like it's a revolving ecosystem,
right? Also it's a trend. It, like, at some point we're gonna, that the masses are gonna stop seeing superhero movies as much as they do now, and then we're gonna have a new trend.
Do you think that? Do you think?
I think so. Yeah,
it'll stop. So when I remember, what's like the first big blockbuster superhero movie that like wasn't campy, like
probably
Spider-Man?
X-Men, maybe X-Men. The first
X-Men was before the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was a 2000.
Sam Raimi. X-Men was before that.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, X-Men doesn't have the gravitas though of like
that's true.
like, because that's what is X-Men? DC.
X-Men or Marvel? Yeah.
Oh, X-Men are Marvel?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. I don't know. I get mixed up a lot of times because I'm not. So if we should
Yeah,
talk,
yeah.
are you real into superhero movies? Are you partial to
yeah.
one side? Okay, so you should
Yeah,
take that side more. Not
yeah.
like a debate, but just
Right,
like
right.
I'm not. I like them.
Yeah.
I enjoy most of the ones I see. I also haven't seen the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
And I think I've said before, like I'm kind of overwhelmed at this point.
Yeah,
I'm very much a person who I need to see stuff in order, even if it's like a universe and not an order necessarily.
Yeah.
Like I need it as organized as possible, or else like I'm not gonna put on, you know, if it's a show, I'm not. There are some exceptions, but like I'm not gonna put on like episode 3, season 5 of X and X, like X and Y Z show. I want to watch start to finish. Like there's a point that shows are written a certain way and going in order. Same with movies. So I don't know. Like I have seen a bunch. Like I saw Black Panther. I saw Captain Marvel. I think I saw Civil War. That was one, Civil War.
Yep.
You know, and I love the Joker. So for the DC side, I've seen Dark Knights.
Oh yeah,
Dark Knight is one of my fantastic movie.
Oh yeah.
And I saw the Joaquin Phoenix, who's probably my favorite actor, of course. Like again, I'm going to see any Joaquin Phoenix movie, right?
Yeah.
Like Joaquin Phoenix, Joker. And then older ones when I was a kid, I saw the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, Iron Man, that sort of stuff. But I haven't seen like Infinity War and Endgame and a lot of the big Marvel ones. And at this point, I don't know. I'm either going to sit down and maybe I'll do it this summer.
Yeah.
Because I have Disney, they're on Disney Plus, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that. I don't know.
It's Marvel's definitely like as much as I'm a fan of Marvel movies and the stuff that they put out, they're definitely oversaturating, I think, because of like the Disney Plus thing. Because this year they've released 3 movies and 4 or 5 series. So it's like before, like to me, it felt more special when Marvel was just doing two movies a year.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like it's easier for casual audiences to get on board. It's but now it's like in 1 year you have to watch like 15 hours of content to be able to be caught up.
Yeah.
So it's,
I think the series are definitely like that's adding a new element to it that I mean, again, if it's I wrote here, I took little notes during this. I want to start doing that during our shows. I just wrote biz. I'm like, remember, it's a business. Like if it's making money, I guess you can't really. I mean, and we always talk about this. This is the art versus business side of things. And a lot of times they're intertwined. And like, I don't know. There's just and like properties that I love, like Star Wars. I don't need series for Star Wars. I just don't. Like everyone's like, oh, you like Star Wars? What about The Mandalorian? I haven't seen it. I don't know if I'm going to see it. And I just think I kind of just wish they stuck to movies. But then again, it doesn't matter. Like whatever. I guess there's enough out there for everyone. But so are you like Marvel or DC, or do you not care?
I'm generally more Marvel. So when it comes to comics, I'm generally more Marvel, but I still have I still read a lot of DC.
That's what's funny is that these are like people call these comic book movies. What percentage of viewers actually think I've read a single one of these comics?
Probably like 2%.
Yeah. When I was in LA, we went in that comic book store, and my opinion on comics is the same as it is with records. It's like I like it. I'm into it, but I can't get into it because then I'm going to be a comic guy or a records guy, and I don't have the budget or like the I have too much stuff. I have too many things going on. I can't add another thing because I'm going to get really into it. So like if I start getting records, I'm going to have to get a record collection or a comic collection. So
exactly.
It's over. Just this is just like such a consumerist American first world problem. It's like, too much stuff. I can't handle it all.
I know it's turned us all into like completists. Like for me, like when I get into a hobby, I have to like get really into it. It's not something. It's usually not something I just kind of dive into casually. And same thing like you're talking about, where it's like if I get into a series, I'm like, oh well, I got to see what other stuff this writer's done. Or like I read issue number 357, I got to read the first 356 issues. So it's sort of like it's really easy to go down that rabbit hole. But anyway, getting back to the sort of like superheroes as cinema. And kind of like that whole debate. So it's funny. So even though I'm a big fan of comic book movies, I'm still not. For starters, I don't get bent out of shape when a prominent film director, even a director I like, says, "Yeah, superhero movies are shit." I don't get bent out of shape about it because it's like.
Has anyone said that?
I think Ridley Scott. I think Ridley
Scott shit.
I think so. I know he's used some profanities.
I thought he was more complaining about. Wait, is this with the last duel, or has he said this before?
He said this a couple times.
He's definitely complaining about like millennials, which I fucking hate that term. First of all, that's probably not even who he's talking about. Some millennials are in like their 40s now. Like that's not who he means. He means Zoomers. Yeah. And probably or like the youngest part of millennials. But like I'm kind of right in the meat of millennials, and I'm fucking in my early 30s. Yeah. Like that's not who he's talking about. Right. That term just gets like lobbed in everyone under 65. But I thought he was just talking more about like attention span stuff, which
he has. But I have a quote here from a recent Deadline interview. Yeah, he says, "We'll come to superheroes after this if you want, because I'll crush it. I'll fucking crush it. They're fucking boring as shit." Yeah. You mean your main gripe about superhero movies? And goes, their scripts are not any fucking good. I think I've done 3 scripted superhero movies. One would be Alien with Sigourney Weaver. One would be fucking Gladiator, and one would be Harrison Ford, Blade Runner. Harrison Ford the movie. Oh, that was a good one. No, but like it's just like, yeah. And again, like I've liked a lot of Ridley Scott's movies. I'm not been out of shape about this because
he's fantastic.
Yeah,
but is he calling Alien a superhero movie?
In his mind, yeah. Gladiator and Harrison Ford the movie.
It's like a hero. That reminds me of, and I know I rip on The Office, which I love. I think it's a great show. I more rip on Office fans, but like it's like the scene with Dwight, and it's the Cultural Appreciation Day or whatever, and he's like I forget the guy they bring in, Larry Brown, or no, that's his name in the show or something like that, and he's like a hero. It's an acronym, and he's like, well, what about like an origin story and special powers? He's like, I think you're thinking of a superhero. It's the same thing here. It's like, Ridley, I think you're just thinking of like a hero, not a superhero.
Yeah. But also, I mean, so as much as I appreciate, most superhero movies, most of them are, I wouldn't necessarily consider art films in any way. I mean, and that doesn't mean that there's no artistry. That every so often there'll be, that was actually, that person did a really good job in that role, or that was actually, I felt like really attached to that story or something like that. But most of the times, like, I'm just here for the diversion. I like, it's entertainment, and I'm fine with not. Like when I'm in the mood to watch The Godfather, like I'll put that on. If I'm in the mood to watch, superheroes punching each other in outer space, I'll put that on. Like it's like,
I think even within the superhero movies, like I think there's a wide variety of quality. Oh, like, there's some I saw some that I'm like, this is fucking unwatchable. Yeah, I forget which one it was, and then some others I'm like, oh, this is excellent. Like that Civil War was much better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I don't know why I put that one on. I just did. Someone was like, yeah, it's a good one. I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. Yeah. And then some are like really bad. Yeah. And just like the quality of the script and the effects and all of that.
And surprisingly, have you seen Black Panther?
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out to me, actually, I've heard this from a couple of folks kind of in the IDW type sphere, point out that Black Panther is actually a pretty anti-woke movie. Because what's his name? Killmonger, the main villain. He's basically a radical BLM Antifa type, whereas Black Panther, the actual like the main protagonist, he's like a more moderate classical liberal type, and so it's sort of like a rejection of extremism, of hardline like extreme left wing extremism. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know if so I don't know how intentional that was. I don't know how political
so I saw Black Panther, but I saw it, a few years ago, and I liked the switch where like I thought at first, okay, here we have like the beautiful hidden African kingdom with the powers and the rich, and then like of course the bad guy is some white South African or guy, right? Like Claw, isn't he South African or something? It's like okay, it's very on the nose, but and then like he dies real early, and the real villain is another black guy, and he's also like stealing from museums. I thought, I don't know, he's stealing to like get African artifacts back, right? Or is he doing that? Or the critique could be like, well, that's pretext, and he's really doing it to get rich. Like I don't know. And I thought his whole thing was like, well, Wakanda isn't doing enough to help the oppression of like black people in other countries. I don't know. It didn't seem woke or unwoke to me.
Right,
It didn't really.
Yeah, and like I said,
thought
I don't know how much of that was intentional, but I can see where it's like, okay, like even though in Killmonger's mind he's trying to free his people around the world, he's doing it by arming them because he wanted to take Wakanda's high technology, like their weapons, and then arm them, and so that they can overthrow their oppressive governments and things like that. So it's kind of like a more extreme case, even though if it was even though there was some sort of compassion involved in it. Whereas like Black Panther was sort of like, no, we got to be more moderate. Like he seemed like more classical liberal type.
To be honest, there were some points where I was like, Killmonger's got some points.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck is like? Why isn't Wakanda doing more? Why didn't they do more? Like I don't really get it. It doesn't mean you have to go like take over white countries, like subject them to like slavery, but like you could still help other people. I don't know, the whole isolationist angle was kind of surprising to me. I don't know, maybe there's something there. And how on the outside weren't they just like a super poor country? Like what they showed the world to be like.
Right. Well, it's funny, there was a line earlier on in the film where one of the characters is telling Black Panther, like, hey, why don't we open our borders? Like, why don't we like reveal ourselves to the world? And he goes, when people come here, they bring their problems with them. So like,
Jesus, Donald Trump. He says that.
He says that.
Holy shit. Yeah, that's very like, meanwhile, you just have like death and destruction all surrounding you in Africa. Like Somalia and Libya and the Central African Republic, and then it's like there's a super rich country that's like, no, we're good. deal with your own shit. It's a good point. I didn't really think of it that way. They bring their problems with them. That's one of those things I feel like could be on like I'm surprised actually that a Breitbart or the Blaze or one of these right wing kind of on the street groups didn't. They do that thing. Well, they'll put the quote on like a placard, and then they'll show it to people. People will be like, "Oh, how could?" And they'll be like, "Donald Trump said this." Like, how could he say that? Like, that's horrible. And then it's like, "Well, no, actually,
Black Panther said it."
Well, I don't like. What's Black Panther's real name?
Oh, T'Challa.
T'Challa. Yeah, T'Challa. Like, he's like, actually, T'Challa. And they'd be like, pearl clutchingly. That would have been very funny. I'm surprised that didn't happen. Probably because none of those people watched Black Panther.
I know, But I don't know how political the movie was intended to be. I don't know if there's even some kind of consistent political message behind it. But I'll give him credit for at least adding some kind of a little some kind of depth to the movie.
It wasn't just like white man bad. Like
exactly,
because they could have easily done that. I thought that's where they were going.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't go down.
Which is true. I mean, white man is bad, but I wish they probably could have done a better. I'm glad they did a better. Writing job there. So, and then I guess, well, my point is going to be, isn't that the beauty of art? It's like it's with different interpretations. Some people could read something as being like a communist manifesto. The other one could read it as like a nativist American Mein Kampf or whatever. Like
right.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
In the eye of the beholder. I said that. That's my quote, actually.
Oh, okay. I'll put that on when we tweet it out. Like
the eye of the beholder. I said that. So those are my notes. Do you want to see my hard hitting notes I have here? I have biz and art.
And some
scribbled something out. Those are my notes for this episode. So I just see the hard hitting stuff over here in New Jersey.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
No, but I did review your extensive notes, which are great. And well, hold on. So we were talking about Ridley Scott kind of being like his movie didn't do as well, which I want to see The Last Duel. Last Duel is right up my alley. Like Legal, very cool. Love legal movies. Adam Driver, love Adam Driver. French, I love France. I don't care what people say. I think France is great for the most part, except for all the French people. That's actually what my mom used to say. She used to say France is too good for the French. But anyway, that's right. I just haven't gotten to it. Sorry, Ridley, my bad. but it's on my list
No.
to watch. But you know, it is if he's saying, the funny thing is like he's saying that about a movie that like in the title it's about combat.
Yeah.
Like it's knights smashing each other with lances and swords and shit. Like imagine making a movie that's like The English Patient now.
Yeah.
Like that's something that, you know, no one is going to go see.
Right.
But except for like people who vote at the Oscars, which by the way, I think we should do an Oscar episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we should.
Yeah. I'm going to try and watch as many of the nominees and movies from this year as possible. I usually kind of try and binge them as we get closer.
Yeah.
And we should do that.
So you know what's interesting about that real quick is, so my roommate, Jim, who works in sound for movies and TV shows and stuff, he recently joined the sound union, the sound guy union here in LA. And forever. He's been getting screeners of movies, free screeners in the mails.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sweet.
I don't know why he's not in the Academy, but it's just
like in the mail. I guess because it's a screener, it actually does have to like not be over the internet, so you could just share it.
I guess so. Yeah.
Could you just copy it?
Yeah.
I'm assuming he knows how to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
He should send me movies.
No, we're not Netflix. We're not Netflix, but before
I don't even have a DVD player. I have a bunch of, my dad like gave me a bunch of DVDs. Like I grew up with. I'm like, I can't play these. I don't even have a DVD player. Let alone a VHS. So it's like grab VHSs.
No.
And he has like one VHS that's like attached to a small TV. I'm like, Dad, I'll buy you these movies. Why are you getting them at the library for free? Like we can stream it.
Yeah. No, but you know, like Jim and I, we were talking like because we're such film nerds. We love all of the behind the scenes crap, like the audio commentaries. Like they don't do that in streaming, and we love that stuff, the behind the scenes documentaries and shit. But even then, I don't think nerds. Yeah, we are, but I don't think like
when I was there, we were watching those. We were watching those. Like, I get it. You guys loved it. Like how effects. It's really cool. Yeah. Like amazing. It's like how they do that. I don't need to watch like hours of it. Like how they makes. I just like to see it done. I'm like, I get it. I get. And maybe I don't give enough credit because a lot of times I'm a big practical effects buff. Like I love practical effects. That's why I love movies like The Thing and Braveheart, and I'm blanking on some of the big ones, but I love those sorts of movies. And I think sometimes the green screen everything, CGI everything does take away from it. I don't give it as much credit, but I guess a lot of work does go into some of that too. Yeah, like some of the really cool effects. You know, I loved that. You don't watch Game of Thrones, right?
No,
dude. Fine. Just watch the Battle of the Bastards episode. Just for the battle, it is so cool.
Okay,
like, all the coordination that was involved with the horses and the fighting. Like, just watch it for that alone. You don't have to know what's going on. The battle itself is kind of a self-contained scene or multiple scenes or whatever. So I would just watch that, and I think you'd enjoy it for that alone. Then you should watch the whole show and read all the books because it's the greatest thing ever made. Except for the last few episodes, which was
but I gotta watch the complete Seinfeld for the 19th time though. I gotta.
How many times have you watched Seinfeld start to finish?
I'm on my second time right now.
Oh yeah, okay. I go through shows like that. I know it took me like 6 months to do Always Sunny from start to finish. It's now officially the longest show of all time, or comedy. I forget which one, but like I think they're doing season 15 or 16. It's officially the longest, but even before that, because I'll watch like on the weekend sometimes at night. Like I'm not really watching during the weeks. I'm watching movies and other stuff. But anyway, I do that with shows. I've done Seinfeld. It's very enjoyable. Just go start to finish. Who should we discuss next?
Let's see who's next on the dock. It was
I saw Inarritu on here. Scorsese. Yeah. It sucks. These are like all my favorite directors.
I know.
Yeah, but I don't feel like shitting on him. But like Inarritu is fantastic. Scorsese's fantastic. What did Scorsese say? I remember him. I remember his bitching. I do remember that.
Yeah.
All right. What did he say?
He said, "I don't see them," referring to superhero movies. I don't see them. I tried, but that's not cinema. honestly, the closest I can think of them, as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks. It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. So I remember when this came up, and I think he might have even written an op-ed after this in some major publication, but basically kind of not completely shitting on superhero movies, but sort of talking about like what the purpose of cinema is and how it needs to be like sort of like basically saying that cinema, like true cinema, is a more personal, intimate expression of human emotion and not just special effects and people fighting each other and stuff. So I remember when that came out, there was a huge debate about like what is cinema versus what is movies, or what is film. I think that's kind of like an academic distinction. Like, it's sort of like whatever. If it's being shown on the screen and you got to pay $38 to see it, then yeah, it's a movie. It's cinema. Like, but I see where he's coming from. Where basically he's just saying like he doesn't really consider them to be very artistic. Again, I can see where he's coming from. And like I said, like when I'm in the mood to watch something artistic, I'll put on a Scorsese movie or a Coppola movie or a Kurosawa film or a Hitchcock film. And when I want action or when I want just fan service, I'll watch a Marvel movie or a DC movie.
Yeah, I think that's the same opinion for me. I sometimes you're in the mood for one thing or the other.
Yeah.
But his comment, it's not cinema. Well, like I feel like a lot of the early kind of like golden age of Hollywood movies were more similar to like modern day superhero movies than like high art movies. No, because a lot of it was just getting people in the theaters, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that not an accurate statement? Like, yeah, of course there were beautiful, deep, artsy movies being made in the 40s and 50s. And before that, of course, but I feel like a lot of it was like pulpy stuff. And they just didn't have the technology back then, but because it made money. How I look at it as my hope is always like, I love, like, you need the money makers, and I would hope that what I want to see more of is the directors who make money off of these would then use that to fund other projects, like other passion projects that can be more high art. And I think that's okay. One of my favorite movies, I mean, again, this isn't really proving my point because it's Scorsese, but like one of my favorite movies is his movie Silence, which was
starred Spider-Man, right?
Projects. It did, yeah. Andrew Garfield, it did.
Under Spider-Man Lake,
probably the least popular Spider-Man, but I love Andrew Garfield. I think he's fantastic. Wasn't he in that movie
Under the Spider Lake?
Under the Silver Lake.
Yeah.
Greatest movie of all time, right? Citizen. It's Under the Silver Lake. Citizen Kane. Godfather. By the way, I don't think people like Citizen Kane as much as they say. I think it's a tagline now. I think people say Citizen Kane because it makes you sound smart. I don't think people actually like it that much. Or even appreciate it.
I might count myself as one of the exceptions. But here's the thing. I did a lot of research. So the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's okay. It was entertaining, I guess. It was okay, but I don't see why it's so good. And then like a few years later, after learning more about filmmaking and film techniques and the history of film, I watched it again, and then I was able to appreciate a lot more of the innovation of the film. And the story maybe doesn't resonate with me as much as it did back then, or back in the 40s when it first came out. But seeing just how unique of a singular vision that movie was, that makes me appreciate it. I don't know if I'm necessarily it was the best movie ever made, but maybe one of the most. Somebody did put it in a way that I think makes sense. They said it's the first modern movie.
Okay, why?
Because he invented a lot of tricks in that movie, a lot of techniques. I've
seen videos on that too, and it's very cool.
It is
very cool, but most people have not seen those and probably wouldn't know it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think if you just show it to a millennial today, they would probably just be like, "Yeah, whatever. It's an old movie. Like that movie. That movie seems very quaint today." But also just the structure of the movie, the way it bounces around in time, I think was very unique.
Was that unique for
for 1941 or 42 when it came out. Yeah,
it was
yeah,
41, 42.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I think last year. I think I watched
Yeah.
it. Maybe earlier this year. But I think last year. I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, it is 1942. It is like a different time.
Yeah.
So I take that into account.
Yeah.
But I just feel like people think it's the smart thing to say.
Yeah.
Instead
No,
of like
I think you're
actually
right. Yeah.
appreciating it. That, and then it's always like that in The Godfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, which also is a phenomenal movie. But I remember watching Godfather as a kid. I'm like, this is boring as shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is super boring. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not.
I think it's one of those things where it's like at some point, I think like in the mid 80s, Citizen Kane ended up on a best movies ever made list. And then since then, people have just been kind of like circle jerking it, like just nonstop. And then I think it was only until like a few years ago where that same list, they updated it and like, okay, now it's Vertigo by Hitchcock. And now that they consider that to be the greatest movie ever made.
Vertigo. I haven't seen Vertigo, but you're a huge Hitchcock fan.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's not my favorite Hitchcock film, but
I just watched Psycho.
Psycho's good. Yeah, that was cool. I like that one. Jim and I actually got to walk up to the Psycho house at Universal Studios for the Halloween horror thing. It's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah, we got a picture taken.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's the cinema thing. Again, like it doesn't bother me that Scorsese, you know, has that opinion. And to an extent, I do agree with him. I think the one thing I would sort of like criticize, not just with him, but with other filmmakers who do this. I would not paint all superhero movies with the same I wouldn't dismiss them all as being they're all just for kids, they're all dumb movies. It's like, no, every once in a while there's one that goes, this is actually like a pretty deep movie, or this actually kind of dives into a certain aspect of the human condition that you don't normally see in superhero movies.
Yeah, and I also think that there's value in being able to go into a movie theater and turn your brain off and watch good-looking people in tight suits fly around, and I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun. In fact, I hope they stay that way. I don't want it to be beating you over the head with messages, because those messages usually just like neo-lib bullshit SJW crap. I would rather have it just be like stick to the script. Evil capitalist, right? Always plays well. Money hungry corporatist, person from humble beginnings. Usually an orphan. Right. Always goes over well. Usually an orphan, overcomes odds, develops powers, stops evil, gets the girl or boy or whatever combo you want to do. And it's fun. Like I think that's fun. I would rather have that than have superhero movies try and be too deep, because a lot of times it's just pandering and preachy. Sorry, my cat's like, dude, can you? My bad.
Ethan Hawke is the next one.
Love Ethan Hawke too. Ethan Hawke, I think is a super underrated actor. I don't know if I've said that before. I think he's a very underrated actor.
I'm trying to think of Ethan Hawke movies that I've seen.
Have you seen First Reformed?
No, I haven't.
That's a movie that is like very Ben's wheelhouse. So like I get if a lot of people didn't see it. It's a priest in, I think, upstate New York, who's like in this very old historic church, and his parish is like minuscule now because everyone's, you know, a lot of people don't go to church anymore, or they've all kind of gone to this big mega church. That's like the kind of, you know, the flashy new thing. And Cedric the Entertainer is actually I guess the preacher there. I don't know what denomination is. And his church is like historic, and it's on the old Underground Railroad, and he like gets kind of radicalized in environmental stuff. And it's just a really, really good movie. But again, that's one of those things that's like a fraction of the people saw that compared to whatever the handful of Marvel movies came out that year. But anyway, Ethan Hawke's great. Oh, he's also in, you didn't watch The Good Lord Bird, right? The show?
No.
Again, I don't know. Very, very much my style, like abolitionist. He plays John Brown.
Okay.
Who's my personal hero.
I
think the greatest American who's ever lived. And it's based on a book that is my same name. Very good. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry. Ethan Hawke, what'd he say?
He said, now we have the problem that that they tell us Logan is a great movie. Well, it's a great superhero movie. It still involves people in tights with metal coming out of their hands. It's not Bresson. It's not Bergman, but they talk about it like it is. I went to see Logan because everyone was like, "This is a great movie," and I was like, "Really? No, this is a fine superhero movie." There's a difference, but big business doesn't think there's a difference. Big business wants you to think that this is a great film because they want to make money off it. Yeah, so he's getting specific there. Logan,
I heard, you've seen Logan.
Oh yeah.
I have not, but I heard it's like not a typical superhero movie. Like, it's actually very R-rated and kind of like, I don't know. You tell me. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's there's not much in the way of tights, and it's more of kind of like a Western, in a way.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Even though it takes place in the future, but it's not as high tech. And it is kind of more like a road movie sort of thing. I heard that I haven't seen it, but there's that Clint Eastwood movie, The Unforgiven, back from like the early '90s, I believe. That Logan was inspired a lot by that, of sort of like an aging, war-torn kind of guy who's got all these regrets, but he has to do one last, like do one last good thing before he calls it quits entirely, sort of thing. It's I mean, probably not a deep movie in terms of like intellectual themes, but in terms of being like a good character piece, I thought overall it was actually definitely above average.
I heard it was really good and like not typical, so I'm surprised that that's what he went with.
Right. Well, I mean, again, getting back to his thing, like I don't think it's much different. Like I think we've seen these themes played out in other genres and more quote unquote respectable genres, but it was definitely refreshing to see that in a superhero movie, and especially like in an X-Men movie. Overall I thought it was a pretty solid above average superhero movie for sure.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I would be happy to. Well, what'd Cronenberg say?
Cronenberg, let's see. A superhero movie by definition, it's a comic book. It's for kids. It's adolescent in its core. That has always been its appeal. And I think people who are saying The Dark Knight Rises is, supreme cinema art, I don't think they know what the fuck they're talking about. I think it's still Batman running around in a stupid cape. Christopher Nolan's best movie is Memento, and that is an interesting movie. I don't think his Batman. I don't think his Batman movies are half as interesting, though they're 20 million times the expense.
Oh, actually, no. Dark Knight's. I mean, I love Memento.
Memento's great. I love Memento.
That might be my favorite, but I don't know. I kind of separate the Dark Knight movies from the rest of Christopher Nolan movies. I also thought Tenet sucked.
Oh, you didn't like Tenet?
I did not like Tenet. I thought Tenet was stupid and arrogant, and I thought it was a gassy fart that just like, even is one of those movies where, like, first of all, it made me question my intelligence, which I don't appreciate. Second, even after, like, a lot of times it'll be like, okay, if I didn't catch something, if I wasn't paying enough attention, if I missed something that, like, okay, that's on me. Then even after watching like numerous YouTube clips about this movie and what happened, I was still just like, my reaction was like, okay, all right. So like, it was so not, I never had that like, oh shit, like that's what that is. I was like, just the whole concept of like the guy, my last happy day is going to be the last day of the world or something, like the world's last day. And I hated the whole, like, it's preventing World War III. It's like, no, it's fucking not. It's preventing a nuclear holocaust. So like, there's two very different things. Like, so I don't know. I thought Tenet sucked. But overall, I love Christopher Nolan. I think Interstellar is a much better movie than people give it credit for. I rewatched that probably earlier this year, maybe last year. I saw it in theaters. I liked Interstellar a lot. Memento's fantastic. But
you ever see Dunkirk?
Yeah, I did see Dunkirk. I didn't love it. I liked it. I thought it's like, of course, its vastness was very cool. Again, I think there was a lot of practical effects there too. Maybe not. I also get that confused a lot with 1917, which I loved. I liked 1917 more, and it also was unique in the one shot, where the it wasn't one shot, but the illusion of one shot, which was very cool. What else? What Nolan am I missing besides
Inception? The,
yeah, Inception's great. Yeah,
what's that
Inception's
magic?
great.
That magic one, the magician one, the Prestige.
Oh, he did The Prestige.
Yes, sir.
Is that the Ed Norton one?
No.
Or, no.
Or no, maybe it's not because I know that same year two old timey magician movies
Yeah.
comes out.
Yeah,
The one that he did.
That is the way to describe it.
Yeah, because
The
they're like in the
old-timey magician.
1800s or something like
Yes,
that.
yes, yes.
No, it was the one with Wolverine and Batman.
Yes. Not
Isn't that the Prestige?
probably.
I think the other one is
The
maybe
Illusionist.
Yes,
Which one's which?
the Prestige is the Nolan one, and the Illusionist was that's the one with Paul Giamatti and the Hulk
and Ed Norton.
Yeah.
Dude, Ed Norton is so much better than the Hulk. Don't call
I
him
know,
Hulk.
I know. I loved him in American History X.
Yes. Oh my God, I had that poster in my room as a kid.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Then hey, when are we talking about Southern California? That was one of my.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not the best image of a bunch of skinheads in Southern California, but could you imagine like, do you think that ever happened? That there were skinheads with swastikas on their chest in Venice Beach, and it's like no one did anything. Like it was just those are the skinheads.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't happen today.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't just be out and about playing pickup basketball against black guys.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know, or maybe like I don't know if that was just the movie.
Yeah, I think simply having skin on your head is enough to attract a lot of negative attention.
Have you ever seen skinheads in LA County?
Hell no. I don't know, like maybe in some of the more working class areas.
The
but,
90s were crazy, man.
I know, yeah. But yeah, so David Cronenberg doesn't care much for Batman. Seems like.
I don't like again. The Batman movies, if you're gonna have these criticisms, that's just not the one to do it. The Batman movies are more cinematic and I shouldn't use cinematic, like more artsy and dark and brooding and like the Joker is a very complex character.
Yeah,
I think he's fantastic. Like this is not just the Joker represents this chaos, this anarchy. I mean, he sets. I was just talking about the typical kind of money grubby, hungry corporatist. He sets a pyramid of money on fire. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit about this. Like that is such a difference. So I know he's talking about Dark Knight Rises, but again, it's the same series of movies.
Yeah.
I just don't think those are the ones to have this criticism. I think the ones that have criticism of are like Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that. Which I don't know if you like those. I don't see any. Are they good? Because
I like the first one. I like the first one.
Isn't like a raccoon and a stick man and Chris Pratt?
Yeah, a Chris Pratt man.
I don't know, man. Those are not. There's nothing does it for me in those.
I mean,
I don't see. So what? Who makes those? Who makes Guardians of the Galaxy?
James Gunn.
No, but I mean, is that Marvel?
Oh yeah, it's Marvel.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, Marvel makes fucking everything. What are DC's properties that aren't like?
Batman
Superman. And Superman. I guess
Justice
they kind of
League, Wonder Woman.
What is Justice League? Who is in the? I hear who's in the Justice League?
See, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Why am I using this? I'm using a tissue instead of my
Green Lantern,
Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Yeah, Marvel's kind of got them. But I mean, if DC didn't have Superman and Batman, this wouldn't be a conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so I think. With Cronenberg, I mean, for him, it seems like if a character, if the premise of your film involves somebody wearing a Halloween costume, it's just like right out of the gate, like he can't take it seriously. Which I can see where he's coming from, at least, where it's sort of like, right off the bat, like this is not a believable premise. But this is also the guy who made like James Woods having sex with a TV. So it's like I don't know, like
what movie's that?
Oh, Videodrome. It came out in 1983.
Oh, he fucks a TV?
Pretty much. It's actually a really cool practical effect. And actually Rick Baker, who did the effects for that one, he did the effects for American Werewolf in London, a whole bunch of great movies. But there's a scene where Debbie Harry, she's from what band?
Debbie Harry, not the Bengals?
No. Blondie.
Oh, Blondie, duh.
Yeah. She
from
he's got a TV. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. unfortunately. And so, but there's a TV, and it's got her lips saying all the seductive stuff. And then the TV screen starts to like get all gelatinous, and then James Woods goes and puts his head up to it, and he's like making out with it, like it's somebody's asshole, and he's just like getting all into it and shit.
It is someone's asshole?
No, I'm saying it was like he's motorboating.
You went with asshole for that. Out of all the things you could have picked. All right. You could just stuck with lips or vagina. All right, hey, look what you like. I get it. That's 2.5 hours of that. Yeah. All right.
It's just that. No.
I'll put it on the list.
No, it's a weird, fleshy, sexual, like psychosexual tech, sci-fi movie.
Yeah, but isn't that the trick of like all avant-garde art and shit? It's like, no, man, there's like meaning to that. Like you just don't get it. Like you just, and I don't appreciate that either. I mean, I think a lot of that stuff is stupid. Like sometimes you need direction and you need synthesis and not just like throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. Because they're not pulling a Yoko Ono.
No, Videodrome definitely doesn't go in that direction. It is very weird and bizarre, but he's making like some kind of commentary on like technology and how
I'm sure he is. I'm sure there's that's the whole point. It's always a commentary on something.
All right.
Anyway,
but
the list.
I guess my thing is sort of like, he's criticizing like how unbelievable superheroes are, but it's like he'll make a movie with James Woods having sex with a TV, and it's like, okay, but you're asking us to take that seriously though. But
I think so I think we've read a good amount. We can keep going, but I think I mean, would any of these guys, maybe would they turn down directing any of these movies?
I know some of them have.
Really? That's me.
There's a quote from
who? Because I give them a lot of credit.
I think it was I want to say it was Ridley Scott. I don't know if I have the quote here. But there was one where it's like, I've been asked to do one and I just can't do it. But I do want to bring up.
Okay. I would say take his word for it.
Yeah.
All right. I think they take that bag. I think they take that bag. Second they rip it on all they want. I think the second that it's like, hey, you want to do Avengers 4? I don't know, whatever.
So the guy who co-wrote Batman versus Superman, the Zack Snyder film.
Yeah.
There's a quote from him because he also co-wrote the Dark Knight movies with Chris Nolan. And there's a quote from him back during that era when he was working with Chris Nolan, where he says, Batman versus Superman is what you do when you run out of ideas. And then, but of course, now he went on to go do Batman versus Superman. So
he said that, and then he went and
did Batman versus Superman.
Yeah. First of all, I've never how is that even a competition? One of them is like from another planet, is indestructible, can only be, correct me if I'm wrong here, but can only be damaged with like a substance from another planet, correct? Kryptonite. Kryptonite. Yeah, kryptonite is where the fucking term comes from. Like, it's my kryptonite.
Yeah.
The other guy is just rich.
Yes, but he's rich enough to find a piece of kryptonite and to weaponize it, and that's what he was going to do.
That's what he does. Because to me, I always saw that. I'm like, what's Vegas putting on the odds here? Because I'm going to take Superman.
Yeah.
Every time. So, who wins?
Let
me guess. Hold on. I actually have no idea what happens in this movie. I'm going to assume that a third party intervenes and they team up to defeat that third party.
Yes.
Is that actually what happens?
Yes. Yeah.
And they do the Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Predator. Who's that? Oh fuck, who's that actor?
Something Carl
Weathers. Yeah, the Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they do that, and then they go and defeat. I swear I have no idea what that movie's about.
But I mean, in comics, like that happens like 90% of the time whenever superheroes fight. Like they even joke about it now. It's like, oh, like are we gonna have like a superhero misunderstanding where we're gonna fight and then team up to fight.
Speaking of meta commentary on this, have you seen? I haven't yet, but I've watched a YouTube video about The Boys. Is that the show?
I've read all the comics, but I have not watched the show yet.
but it's like it's like a satire, right,
Pretty
on
much, yeah.
superhero, and it's like
Yeah.
showing how a lot of it is just identity, like, and especially nowadays, it's like identity politics, just like it's making fun of the whole whether it was like Spider-Man and all the women show up, it's like, don't worry, we got this. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
fucking grown. Like, it's
Right,
how on the
right.
nose can you be? Or, you know, the even the right wing side of it, like the uber patriotism of
Yeah.
Captain America. And then they have like that character, and really he's like just a shitty, self-centered guy and doesn't give a fuck about America.
Pretty much. So basically, like, I don't know how much of this translates in the show, but I know in the comics, basically, like the point of it was, you know, we have this glorified idea of superheroes that if somebody had amazing abilities, that they'd use it to good use. But really, like 90% of the people who would have superpowers, they would be selfish assholes. Or if they did use it for good, they would do it just for the fame and money. So that's kind of what the commentary is.
Sure.
Yeah.
The show sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Like, that sounds way more interesting to me than most of these movies.
But my problem with the show, from what I understand, is that they toned it down a lot from the comics. The comics gets pretty crazy.
Well, one of the girls is like a fucking Nazi, like an actual Nazi, like back from not like she, like Captain America, right? He was frozen or something.
Yeah,
like and it was like the same thing, but like a Nazi. Like, she's one of the good ones. Like, I think that's interesting. Like that's interesting. That's very not 2021. Yeah, like but anyway.
But I do want to bring up Bong Joon-ho, his take.
Can we just talk about the purity of him at the Oscars, the 92nd Oscars, was just like amazing. Like, he's up there, he's just like holding the trophy, and just like staring at it, and to me that it like warmed my heart. He didn't seem like he was too good for it or expecting anything, or and I honestly loved his comment of, don't be afraid of subtitles, because I know people who like won't watch a movie with subtitles. I'm like, you're missing out. Some of the best movies I've watched in the past couple of years are foreign language films. I mean, Parasite, that's like mainstream now. The Hunt, I know we've talked about. This movie called Capernaum, I think that's, or maybe Capernaum, but Capernaum, this movie that takes place in Beirut, like, fantastic movie. And I don't know, I agree with that. It's like, don't like watch all sorts of movies. I don't know, maybe you don't like movies with subtitles, but
I actually do. I do, and I even like putting subtitles on movies that are in English. And I'm actually
English or another language.
In English. No, I mean, because like I feel like I get so much more out of a movie, because, you know, a lot of movies will just kind of, I don't know, like sometimes I miss stuff the first time around. So like having that at the bottom, like I know some people hate it, but I often put on the subtitles when I in a language that I understand.
Sure.
But there is something that Joon-ho is afraid of when it comes to superhero movies. So this is his quote: "I have a personal problem. I respect the creativity that goes into superhero films, but in real life and in movies, I can't stand people wearing tight-fitting clothes. I'll never wear something like that. And just seeing someone in tight clothes is mentally difficult. I don't know where to look, and I feel suffocated. Most superheroes wear tight suits, so I can never direct one. I don't think anyone will offer the project to me either. If there is a superhero movie who has a very boxy costume, maybe I can try."
I love, like, and you think he's being genuine there, right? Like, or do you think he's fucking with them? I can't tell. I hope he's being sincere.
I got it from a list. I think it was on Rotten Tomatoes, actually, that said, you know, like 9 top directors who don't like superhero movies, and so that's where I got the quote from.
I think he's been sincere, and it's very funny. And I can just picture the interviewer being like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, if Superman, you know, if he wore like Dockers, then maybe he could do it. Then maybe he would direct Superman.
This might be a dumb question. Like, why do other countries make superhero movies? Yeah,
Russia recently had like their own kind of version of the Avengers.
Did they?
Yeah, okay. I can't remember what it was called, but it looks nuts. Looks as like there's a guy who can turn into a bear, and he's got like a machine gun strapped to his back. Like, it's just kind of like, this is very Russian.
That's very Russian. That's very Russian. Okay, because I was just thinking, like, how come? Or maybe there is. I'm just blanking. Like, how come there aren't French superheroes or Japanese superheroes? Because if there are, it's not like there aren't French or Japanese superheroes necessarily, but like they're in American movies.
Right.
Like, why aren't they in their own movies? I don't know. It's all budget. Is it just like the money and like America's just going to make the biggest ones anyway?
Probably. I mean, I don't see too many any other countries where they have film industries. They're like, yeah, like let's spend $200 million on a movie.
Yeah, but China's got to be doing it soon, right?
Yeah.
You know, they made like a whole city just for movie making.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a whole. I mean, they have, not to go into this, but like they have like dozens and dozens of cities that are like bigger than our biggest cities. Like not even like cities that aren't even, you couldn't even, not Beijing and Shanghai and those cities, like cities you've never heard of that are like millions of people.
Yeah. Hong Kong.
Yeah. Well, Hong Kong's different. Hong Kong does have a great cinematic history. Hong Kong has some Wong Kar-wai. I watched In the Mood for Love recently.
Yeah.
That's a really good movie. Yeah, Hong Kong has some great cinema history, but that's Hong Kong's not China. I'll say it. I'm taking that stance on this podcast.
We're gonna get censored so hard.
You know what stance I'm also taking? Taiwan as a country. I'm gonna say it. Take that, LeBron James. No, that's controversial to say now. You can't say Taiwan is a country. People are out of their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Got me going on Taiwan and Hong Kong. Anyway. Yeah. I was thinking, like, how come they're British? Like, well, our comics are very American, right? Like, that started as an American art form.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, like Japan obviously has manga, and that's its own thing, which is different, but also very culturally significant to Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, comics might be like one of those true American, like people are just like, the only thing Americans have are jazz that we create, and jazz and baseball. It's like, well, comics might be up there.
Yeah.
Or not. Yeah. Or not. Yeah. Maybe we stole it somewhere. I don't know.
I think there's something about America that just loves fighting. So like back in like the 1910s, when film was only probably like 15, 20 years old at the most, film was starting to become more democratized around the world. So you start seeing other countries making films, and usually the film that they would make would either be based on folklore or short stories or something like that. Like something that's a little more artsy. But the most popular movie in like, I think it was like 1915 in America at the time. It was just a recording of a boxing match. Like that was like the thing that brought people to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
like, no, fuck
people
fairy tales.
People didn't have the same shit.
No, fuck folklore. Like I want to see two guys punch each
gangster
other.
movies. Like there have been so many gangster movies in early Hollywood.
Right.
I mean, we love that shit. I mean, that's what I listened to the last podcast on the left. It's a true crime podcast. I know like there's tons of true crime, but people are always like, why true crime now? Like, no, we've always loved true crime. True crime has been like, has attracted people to funerals and to murder sites and haunted house, like all for years and years. It's just the media's gotten bigger. Like there's more what's the term I'm looking for? Mediums or whatever to share this stuff, like podcasts and YouTube channels and Twitter and all this shit. Like that's why it's not. Because I was just listening to a Lizzie Borden episode and how much attention that attracted.
She was a Jersey gal too, wasn't she?
No, Massachusetts.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, man.
No, I wish we'd claim her. Apparently, she like didn't do it or something, or did. This is one of those things where like I just assumed that because like the Lizzie Borden house in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I'm talking. These are like axe murders.
Yeah.
But, like apparently, there's a lot of evidence she didn't actually do it, or maybe she did. I don't know. But I was like, even the fact that it was not concrete, I was like, oh fuck, I thought she like admitted to it and tried and all that. But
there's did they bring up the cool little rhyme about her? Was it like Lizzie Borden got an axe and gave her husband 40 whacks or whatever?
Yes, and that's and they say, well, that's one of the reasons why her guilt has just been like proliferated, like it's because of stuff like that.
Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw that what she had done, she gave her father 41.
41, yeah. Yeah, I think it was her stepmom, but her father, and it's pretty brutal. But again, attract tons of attention. So anyway, yes, we are a country that loves violence. I remember talking about this before.
Yeah.
Did I talk about this on the pod? I was talking to my parents about it. Like, I was talking about, we were talking about Starship Troopers, right?
Oh yeah.
We talked
yeah.
about that, and like how my dad scrambled, had it like this is a movie where people are getting ripped in half and their brains sucked out and arms burned off and like gored with big fucking pincer tentacles and shit like that, and like he scrambles out like a couple scenes with boobs.
Yeah.
Because like that's just so American. Like the sex part is censored, but the hyper intense violence.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's fine for an 8-year-old to watch, but like there's some boobs in a shower, and that's not okay.
There's
I mean, that's how I'll raise my kids.
Yeah. I'm just gonna show my kids war movies.
Yeah, just footage of the Civil War.
I think it was like it was during the Great Depression that cinema actually had experienced a huge boom. They thought that was weird because people, lost a lot of money. Why would they be going to movies? But it turns out that they were going to movies to kind of get away from the hard times.
Escapism.
And actually most of the movies that were most popular back during the Depression were more escapist type films. They were gangster movies, they were musicals, they were fantasy. Like, it wasn't like people weren't going there to be reminded of how hard life was. They wanted to get away from it.
Exactly. Yes. And I think, and that's a good to bring it back to superhero movies. Like, I think that is what people want to go to see in superhero movies, which is good. Like, that's fine.
Right.
So both, in a couple different angles. One is, so superhero movies, don't be preachy, and you're a bunch of fucking millionaires and billionaires, and you don't have any fucking hardship, and just like entertain and put a good product out there. You don't need to preach and pander and all that shit.
Yeah.
On the other side, people who criticize these movies, like all these stuffy directors, that's good also. Like, that gets people in seats, that gets people interested in movies instead of TikTok. Yeah. And that's going to create more moviegoers that will also see your movies.
Right.
So what, because then maybe you cast Iron Man or Batman or Wonder Woman. I know the actors' names, but like then you cast those actors, and then that 11-year-old who saw the superhero movie at 14 is going to go see your movie or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know it all. I have all the answers to these problems.
And that's why after this episode, I'll be firing you. I'm tired of looking dumb, and it will just be a blank screen. I think I can outwit. I think I can outwit a blank screen.
Well, don't set the bar too high.
All right, and this is actually a good time to talk about all this stuff because Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man movie is coming out right now, so
I guess if you didn't say that, I would have guessed. I would have said I'm assuming a Spider-Man movie's coming out because I just feel like a Spider-Man movie's always coming out. That's fine. Again, that's cool. But then there's this is like the canon, like Tom Holland Spider-Man. Then there's like the Spider-Verse, but that's animated, right? Yes,
but do you know what the new Spider-Man movie, like who's going to be in the new Spider-Man movie?
Tom Holland?
Yeah. Do you know who else is in the new Spider-Man movie?
Well, who is he?
I'll say that Snopey Chiguire is in it, and
so wait, is it like a Quantum Leap type thing?
It's a multiverse thing, yeah. So they're bringing in.
Oh my god! So Tobey Maguire, and is Andrew Garfield in it?
Yes, he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Yeah. Bring them all in.
Oh, hey, and for the lawyers, for the litigious out there, Daredevil is also in it too, briefly.
What does that have to do with lawyer?
Because he's a lawyer by day.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, Matt Murdock, the blind guy. Yeah, he's a lawyer.
He's a blind lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a blind lawyer actually. All right, yeah? I didn't. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I've never seen Daredevil. I don't know.
You would like it. Him. This is Charlie Cox.
Don't tell me what I think.
You like the law, don't you?
The law's fine. We're both men of the law. Law's fine, but don't tell me what I'd like. People always, it was from Seinfeld. It's like, oh, what people are like, oh, you'll love him. Like, why? I don't like anybody. Why would I like him? My parents always do that. Oh, you'll like him. Why? Just who?
I thought you were referencing that other Seinfeld joke where he's talking about doctors. Hey, go see my doctor. He's the best. He goes,
Yeah.
Nobody ever says, "Oh, you got to see this doctor. He's the worst. You'll love him."
He's,
Like,
yeah,
I hate
he's
him.
okay. Yeah, he's the worst. Yeah.
All right. I think.
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah,
that's
let's
a good
wrap it up.
episode. Seamless.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
That was a good
Yeah.
one. I only got fired up once, twice. You know, just be careful with Taiwan. Sometimes,
Asia,
sometimes I get Asia. Sometimes I get fired up about Taiwan. What do you want to do? So what? Want to fight about it?
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Ben, stay reckless.
All right, stay reckless, Joe.
I think I just clicked that.